Cannes will always be Cannes, or so it seems. We're in the thick of the world's most famous film festival, celebrating its 70th edition, a frenzied fortnight of screenings, parties, deal-making. It's about much more, though, than stars coming out for world premieres. It's part of a business, the movie industry, that's like no other, where the red carpet serves as a launch pad for what producers hope will be the next big blockbuster or summer sleeper. So next stop, a theater near you. Or is it? Netflix in official competition at this year's Cannes Film Festival with two films, the video streaming service that couldn't care less about movie houses. Both will go straight to subscribers' television sets or computer screens. The French industry, which pays for the Cannes Film Festival, is up in arms. Rules have been changed so that only movies that run in theaters can compete for the Golden Palm starting next year. And this year's jury president, Pedro Almodovar, has already said he won't be giving prizes to any Netflix fare. A losing battle by the famed Spanish director? Is he right? What does the future hold for movie theaters, for movies, and for Cannes? Today in the France 24 debate, we're looking at the Cannes Film Festival, and with us from the French Riviera Resort, Jordan Mincer, film critic for The Hollywood Reporter. Thank you for joining us.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going well. We also want to thank a producer with Slum Kids Film, Anna Ampadu. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
A filmmaker who's tasted the joys of working in La La Land and in Paris, and who's turned it all into a novel. Aurelie Levy, the author of My Life for an Oscar. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you. It's nice to see you.
Emmanuel Vivier is here. He's seen the future of tech and entertainment. He's the founder of the Hub Institute. Thanks for joining us. The France 24 debate on Facebook and on Twitter at the hashtag F24debate. This whole Netflix thing, by the way, it started before the Cannes Film Festival began, and it was high on the minds of organizers when they raised the curtain on the festival this year.
The festival is always changing and is always the same. That's the key. The only thing, as we're talking about movie theatres, is that at a certain moment in the day, several times a day, the lights go out and we watch a film together. That's cinema.
Jordan Mincer, do you share the sentiments of Thierry Frémaux that the magic of Cannes, the magic of any film buff, is when the lights go down in a crowded movie house and they start rolling?
Yeah, of course. I mean, films are meant to be seen on the big screen, and Cannes has the Théâtre Lumière, which is behind me, has one of the biggest screens I've ever seen. So there's definitely a thrill of seeing a film, you know, in a festival like Cannes. But I also see the other point of view is that most people can't come to Cannes. The ones that are here, like me, we're privileged, and a lot of people can never see films that are in Cannes. So I understand that companies like Netflix or even Amazon, if they want to stream films that play in Cannes, it's a way for a lot more people to have the opportunity to see these films, not on the big screen, but at least to get to see them at all.
At least to get them to see them at all. But of course, with the reasoning of Netflix is that we don't even need the movie house anymore. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, you know, I think it's something that started a long time ago. When I was a kid, most of the movies I saw were on VHS or on TV. I didn't go to the movies that much. There weren't a lot of movie theaters where I grew up. So the way I discovered film was already on the small screen, and that's the case of most people around the world now. Movie houses don't exist as much as they used to. So I think Netflix is just filling a gap in the reality that there are not as many movie houses serving the public as there used to be, and they're allowing people to have access to all kinds of films, including art films like we see at Cannes, and these films are going to hit a greater audience. So in a way, I think if people can discover cinema that way, the way I discovered it on VHS, why not?
Anna Ampadu, do you agree with the organizers of the Cannes Film Festival who say that starting next year, you can only show in competition films that have promised to have a proper theatrical run?
I have have to say that having had the opportunity to actually watch the films in competition and the quality of them, I do think that they should be at movie theaters to begin with, and for them to have a time at the movie theaters. And once that run is over, then it can be on Netflix. So I do think that we need to protect that type of quality and the experience of actually going to a movie theater and seeing these quality films. I totally agree that there are some films that will not have the opportunities to be shown at movie theaters. And I do think that there should be some kind of deal where those more fragile films certainly could be on Netflix, and that would allow a larger amount of people to see them. I agree with that, but I do think that the ones that can have the opportunity to be shown in movie theaters should be shown in movie theaters. That should be protected, and after it's had its run, then Netflix. It's not the same experience. It's really not. I mean, I think you spend so much time.
Go ahead.
Say that, you spend so much time making a film. You know, you have some of the best artists, the best DOPs, and when you see it on a large screen, it is a very particular experience. And on a small screen, it's really not the same. It's just not the same.
Aurelie Levy,
and
you
I've
agree?
had the opportunity to see the 2 Netflix films.
Go ahead. You saw the 2 Netflix films, the 2 Netflix films in competition, Okja and the Meyerowitz stories. What did you think?
Well, I've seen them, and I really wonder how they're going to, how you're going to have that experience if it's on a smaller screen. You know, particularly Okja. You know, you're in this kind of ecological fairy tale in a way, and you know, you have this giant pig, and it looks extraordinary on a large screen. And when you reduce that experience to a smaller screen, it's certainly not going to be the same experience. And I feel that, you know, I was able to watch it on a large screen, and I would like at least some people to be able to have that experience as well. So I mean, the director's fine for it to be, you know, on Netflix. That's his decision. But I'm sure that deep down, you know, if someone said to him that, you know, there would be a long run at movie theaters and then afterwards Netflix, he'd probably agree to it. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's he who decided to go for that deal, but it's not the same. It will not be the same experience on a small screen.
Aurelie Levy, you
It's
agree?
just the way it is.
I do. I mean, in the end, it's a fight between 2 ideals. There's the romantic ideal of going inside a movie screen and in the dark and share an experience, a collective experience. And then there's the other ideal of you know, democratizing content and allowing people to watch content whenever they feel like it, at the pace that they choose, in any country that they want.
But what Amma is saying is it's not the same artistic experience when you're seeing it on a small screen. Now, maybe some people are rich and can have a giant TV screen in their homes, but it's not
Right.
the same experience.
Yes, but a lot of people can't go to the movie theaters, or you know, don't have access to that experience. And so, does that mean that films produced by Netflix should not get a prize? I don't think so. You know, everybody's defending their turf, and it makes sense. I think theater owners are defending their turf. You know, that makes sense. And the reality is that people are going to the movie theater less and less. They're going to see very particular kinds of movies, you know, those that are conducive to, you know, the big screen, you know, big
Right, but
blockbusters and so on.
But the Cannes Film Festival
Right.
is subsidized heavily by the French Film Board, the CNC as it's
Right.
called. And the rules in France are a movie is shown in a movie theater. You give it 36 months so it can have a theatrical run before
Right.
it can show on free-to-air television.
I think that ship is sailing. I think it is obvious that movies are not going to, you know, be released in theaters the same time they're going to be streamed online, and part of the, you know, and that's going to be the case all over the world.
But is it then the death of the French movie theater? Because they're the ones, it's the movie theater owners
Well,
that were the ones who raised
perhaps
the
it
red
is,
flag on this.
but I don't no, I think the theaters are still going to exist, but they're going to show a particular kind of content. And by the way, Netflix was recently forced by the European Union to produce a certain amount of European content, local content on their platform. So it's not like it's killing the creation of content in the country. It's just changing the medium by which you're enjoying it and how you're having that experience. But
Emmanuel Vivier, for years, the Americans were criticizing the French, saying that what we call here the French cultural exception was this antiquated, out of touch thing. Of course, the end result is that France has still a thriving movie industry, whereas most of its neighbors do not. In fact, all of its neighbors do not. And so as this brand of protectionism has turned out to be a winning game. In the case of the movie theater houses complaining about Netflix breaking their model, do they have a point?
First, I think it's funny. If you look in the US, we call it the entertainment industry. In France, we call it the culture industry. So I think first we have two different visions about the movie industry. For us, it's about culture, it's about heritage, it's about us. In the US, it's more about show business. So it's about making business. But I think we don't talk enough about the audience. Netflix is 100 million subscribers worldwide. So I agree there is the movie industry business, there is a movie maker, there is a movie theater. But, if the audience want the movie available with different choice, with different formats, why should we stop them? Should we have a police who say, oh, no, a black and white movie anymore because it's not the quality of experience we deserve? No movie with this or this size, or no 3D or 3D. So
But hang on, that's not the same thing. Here we're talking about the life and death of movie houses. And we've seen in a lot of cities around the world, a lot of movie houses are closing.
Is it really? Is it because there is music streaming that there is no more concerts? I don't think so. I think the more we listen to streaming for the music industry, the more we like music, the more we go to concerts.
And by the way, there's never been more content produced in the history of entertainment.
More content, but again, as you heard
And more viewership.
Thierry Frémaux say at the outset, the experience of going to the movies is the lights go down and you're in a crowded room with other people enjoying the film.
Sometimes you don't because it's noisy, you have people eating popcorns in front of you. So I think it really depends from people. I think we should have choice, and in the end, that should be the consumers that decide. And sometimes you really enjoy going to the movie, sometimes you really enjoy to watch whatever you want, whenever you want. So is it the industry to decide for people what they should be doing or what they should be liking?
Jordan Mincer, you write for an American publication, The Hollywood Reporter. Do people from the U.S. who are there at Cannes just see this as a French argument? After all, these are rules that affect the French model when it comes to making and distributing films.
Yeah, I think, and I quite agree with the Cannes Film Festival's position, because the French industry and also the situation of the French movie houses is very different than in America. In France, the movie houses are subsidized to a certain extent by the government, and they have a wide variety of programming. Even in the smallest little town in France, you can find an art house that's going to show the kind of films that they show at Cannes. In the United States, it's very different. It's very hard to see art films outside of the big cities or maybe some university towns. Everywhere else, it's multiplexes showing, big popcorn movies, basically. So the idea, again, that Netflix can bring certain art films to people who don't have access to them, I think is quite a positive thing in this case. I have a friend who made a film that was in Sundance, that won the best film at Sundance, and it was on Netflix, and he was very happy because he said, finally, people in where he's from, which is Virginia, they're going to get to see my film, because before my last film had only played in New York and LA. So you have to look at it, I think, also from the point of view that America and France are very different in how films are released and distributed in theaters.
Ama Ampadu, is this just a French argument that we're having, just to do with France, or does this resonate the world over?
Well, I mean, I think France is a very particular case, as we've been saying, and there I think, the public has a privilege. There are so many movie houses, and, you can actually see the vast majority of people will have access to the Cannes lineup, even including the ones that are in, Un Certain Regard or La Semaine de la Critique or the Director's Fortnight. That's not the same for other countries, certainly. And I do agree that, in countries where there's a dearth of movie houses, having a Netflix or, a streaming platform, that's really useful because it allows a wider circulation of these films. But I think that the argument is the reality is that Netflix isn't going to go away.
Yeah.
What Cannes is actually saying is that let's give people the opportunity to have a cinema movie theater experience, and then after that, then they can watch on streaming. And of course, the countries or the places where there are a lot of movie theaters, let's have privilege that, and give people the opportunity to watch it that way. And then some months later, they can watch it on Netflix. I also think that people should also ask the artists, if you ask the vast majority of directors, if you say to them, after all the hard work, do they actually only want their films to be on streaming? I really do think that the vast majority of them will say no. It's a lot of work, and you really do want people to have that very rich experience on a large screen, the sound, to share it with people. It's what movie making has always been about, and I think that all the people in the film industry who are actually making it, I know deep down, we like that experience. That's really what we want. We respect Netflix, etc. But that's ultimately why you have people who desperately want to be in Cannes. And I say to myself, the two directors, for example, who have films backed by Netflix, I mean, if that's so good, then why come and have the Cannes experience? I think that for them it's also really important to have it on a big screen, to have all these movie lovers, I guess more or less an elite in the movie making industry, and have that validation from the industry. So if they are really kind of pro streaming, why are they here? We can flip the argument the other way as well.
We'll pick up on that point when we come back.
It's the rules. I mean, you have to follow the.
We will pick up on it. We're going to have to take a quick break. Stay with us. We'll go back to Cannes. You're watching the France 24 debate.